أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجلين ومن تولى ومن آبائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن وليك بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكنه أرضا ترضاه وتمتعه فيها طويلا. There are some questions, and I think if I take the time to answer the topic for today will be a bit changed. Anyway, the first question yesterday when we talked about Hajj and that incident that was quoted from Marhum Ayatollah Al-Islamidani, there in the end of it, when we came to this point when that person was being punished, and Hazrat Zahra Salamullahi alayha wants to mediate, in reply Amir al-Mu'mineen says that someone who dies not performing a Hajj, Mata Yahudiyan or Nasraniyan, has died a death as a Jew or a Christian. So the question is, so what's so bad in it? If a person dies as a Jew or a Christian, after all they too are Ahlul Kitab, so there's nothing so bad. After all, it's a teaching. It's the message of Allah, and again the religion, one of the divine religions. We believe, and again if you recall your memories throughout these days, and we talked about Mu'mineen, Muttaqeen, we talked about Iman, faith, belief, the fundamentals that we have in the Aqa'id are belief in the oneness of God, belief in the concept of prophethood, and belief in the day of judgment. Someone who believes in the oneness of God, he believes God is one, at the same time he is just, he is Adil. And he has sent the prophets right from Prophet Adam to the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Rasulullah is the seal of the prophets, is the final messenger. So those who do not believe in Rasulullah are not faithful, are not the believers. So that because they do not accept that whole package of guidance. With reference to the Jews and the Christians, those Jews and those Christians who were the immediate followers of Prophet Isa, Christians were the followers of Prophet Isa, during the time of Prophet Isa, yes, they will find salvation, they will be prosperous, they will be successful. The same thing is with the followers of Prophet Musa. But when the chain of prophecy continues and comes to Rasulullah, then automatically all the religions before them, they expire. So followers of them or those religions, they have to move on to Rasulullah. And if they don't, it's an incomplete faith. And again, the belief in the day of judgment, punishment and reward is among those aqa'id that we have. And someone who dies, as Amir al-Mu'mineen says, not performing a Hajj, has died a death of a Jew or a Christian, it means death of ignorance. As it was mentioned, مَنْ مَاتَ وَلَمْ يَعْرِفْ إِمَامَ زَمَانِهِ مَاتَ مِيتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً. Someone who dies not knowing the Imam of his time has died a death of ignorance. Death of ignorance means straight to hell, means punishment without any correction. For the other wrong that we do, for example, shortfall in salah, in fast, in hajj, in zakah, if there is a shortfall, that shortfall will be corrected, can be made up. If someone has prayers outstanding, if his son performs those prayers, his a'mal will be corrected, that shortfall has been made up, and he won't be punished for that. He will be punished because he took the commands of Allah easy, but because that shortfall has been made up by his descendants, by his children, then he will not be punished anymore for that. The same thing in this case that was mentioned yesterday. There was a shortfall of Hajj, which was made up by the Imam of time, as a result of which that person, his status upgrades and he ends up in the heaven, not being punished, although he had seen his punishments for the wrong which he had done. So the shortfall in furu'at deen, it can be covered, it can be made up. If it wasn't able for us to make it up, or the descendants to complete it, by seeing the adab in the barzakh or pains of death or being punished in the hellfire, he will be forgiven. That is, after seeing that punishment and chastisement, and then he will be sent back to the heaven. This is our aqidah. So, what if a person ends up as a Jew or Christian? It's straight to hell is the answer. Now, if you look into these du'as that we have been reciting throughout the sacred month, and in particular, du'as which start from the night of the 21st. So today we just recited a small dua which was for the night of the 24th, and we find this phrase continue every night. The same thing is in this dua, Abu Hamza. There, what is that phrase? It says, وَأَن تَجْعَلَ إِسْمِي فِي هَذِهِ اللَّيْلَةِ فِي السُّعَدَاءِ. That Allah, you enlist me among those who are su'ada. Su'ada is the plural of sa'id. Sa'id means prosperous. Someone who is successful, who has got the aqa'id complete, and as a result of those complete aqa'id, faith and fundamentals, he will be listed in the successful and will end up in the heaven. So وَأَن تَجْعَلَ إِسْمِي فِي هَذِهِ اللَّيْلَةِ فِي السُّعَدَاءِ وَرُوحِي مَعَ الشُّهَدَاءِ. And that you enlist my soul among those martyrs, among those shuhada. وَإِحْسَانِي فِي عِلِّيِّينَ وَإِسَاءَتِي مَغْفُورًا. And then continue saying that وَأَن تَهَبَ لِي يَقِينًا تُبَاشِرُ بِهِ قَلْبِي. And again, this phrase you find almost every night. وَأَن تَهَبَ لِي يَقِينًا تُبَاشِرُ بِهِ قَلْبِي. That Allah, you grant me a certainty, a yaqeen. That is, over here, yaqeen means iman, means faith. That Allah give me a faith which is with me. تُبَاشِرُ بِهِ قَلْبِي. Tubashir over here again in Arabic, you use the term bashara, it's for the skin. And the vest which you wear, again, it's called the same. Because the vest is that clothing which is so close to the skin of yours. It says that, give me an iman which is so close to me, that is the closest entity to my chest. Over here, Imam in that lengthy dua, Abu Hamza, after 1 hour and 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he comes to this one phrase, says, Allah give me a yaqeen which is so close to me, which cannot distance from me, which cannot separate from me. What is that yaqeen? That is that aqidah, that is the belief that we have in the oneness of Allah, in the justice of Allah, in the concept of prophethood, that is all the prophets, without any exception. That is, we accept that whole package. We don't say that we take a few of them, the nice ones, we just leave the other ones aside. We can't pick and choose in the prophets. We have to take the whole package. From Prophet Adam, right up to the end, all of them are one light. And again, the same thing is with the concept of imamat, that I accept all of the imams, from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam to Imam al-Asr, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. So, that whole package has to be accepted. When we talk about prophethood, we believe that Allah has sent prophets, 124,000 in total. We believe in all of them. Now, out of these prophets, just 80 of them are known to us. The names of just 80 of you have been mentioned in the Quran. So we do not know almost all of them. Just a few are known to us. Regardless of that, but we have to have that aqidah, that we accept all of them. We have faith in all of them that Allah has sent for the guidance of humanity. تباشر به قلبي وإيمانا يذهب الشك بالشك عني. Says, Allah grant me an Iman that puts away all these doubts. Now these questions that are asked, it is not bad. Every individual, every human being, there is an age in his life, starts from 13, 14. May that be boys, may that be girls. Sometimes it continues till 18, sometimes till 21. And they are bombarded with all these shukuk, doubts. So it doesn't mean that there's something wrong in our system and we are just getting misled and carried away and we are being deviated. No, that is not the case. Every person, for him to get to Yaqeen, he has to go through that phase of doubts. If he doesn't go through the phase of those doubts, he will never get to that Yaqeen. The more questions you have, it means that the stronger you are getting in your Yaqeen, in that aqidah, in that faith of yours. But it doesn't mean that we just come up with all these rubbish questions and then dilute and pollute our aqaid. No. Questions if you have, doubts if you have, ask them. If you ask these questions from Google, you will be misled. Now many of these questions that come up, that children, they write, we've searched this, we've seen this, we've seen that, .net, .com, .org, and this is the answer we get. You don't get questions and answers to your questions from .nets and .coms and .orgs. So today Aminullah was saying that, Baba, it's my turn to be a Maulana today. Just in 20 days. So you have to go to the right person, approach the right person to get the right answer. You don't go anywhere randomly and get an answer. That's going to mislead you, because Shaitan, he has laid his traps, and especially today, in this day and age, in every format. And all of that is to misguide mankind, to put him away from the right track, and that is the right track of Imam al-Asr, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. So, here, in every night, we have this one small phrase. If we sincerely ask Allah that you enlist us among the su'ada, those who are successful, and our soul among the shuhada, and that you grant us a yaqeen and iman, which is certain, which is firm, which is strong, which stays with us until the last moment of our life. And this iman, it has to be protected. We have to work hard on it. That is why we find Iman over here. He emphasizes every day, especially in this sacred month. And in that dua, again, with all that emphasis. Because Shaitan, he plays a very strong role in the misguidance or deviating mankind. Especially at that young age when you've got all these doubts. Furthermore, when a person is ill, you find all these polluted thoughts that come into our mind, that why did this happen, why did that happen, when we lose jobs, when we lose schools, we fail colleges, for example. So all these things, they come into our minds, and that is as a result of a weak iman. So we have to get strong. If we fail, it doesn't matter. If it's lost, it doesn't matter. If job is gone, let it go. If whatever's down goes, let it go. We have to be strong, firm, and that is among the basic qualities of a strong mu'min. So we shouldn't be losing hope and giving away whatever we have faith and aqidah in, because Shaitan, he acts in that way. One of the students studying in Mashhad, one of the bright and smart students, he fell ill, was dying. His fellow friends, they come to see him. Ustad is also informed that this brightest student of yours, he is giving away his life. So Ustad, the teacher, he says, let me also come and visit him. And as it is the custom and the rule, that is, from one who is dying, you have to face him towards Qibla. That is, his feet should be facing Qibla, such that when he sits, he is sitting facing Qibla. So his feet are faced Qibla and du'as are recited. Now here the Ustad comes and tells the students, say, La ilaha illallah. That is again, talqeen, reminders that we have to remind the person who is dying, so that when Shaitan comes and misleads, he is still strong and he sends and drives that Shaitan away. Ustad says to the brightest student say La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah is the basic formula, the recital which we recite, and that can be recited even with our mouth shut. All the letters can be pronounced with the mouth closed. He says, don't break it, I will not say La ilaha illallah. Usman is amazed at why does he say that? Says once again, say La ilaha illallah. He says, I won't say it, don't break it. A few times he says that. And then it so happens that he feels better, the student. And when he feels better, the teacher, he says that, why didn't you say La ilaha illallah when I reminded you to say it? You should have said. He says, wait, I'll answer you in a moment. To his family, he says that, go and get me my watch. That favorite watch of mine. And when they bring that watch, the first thing he does, he smashes it, breaks it. And then says, listen, this is what has happened. That when you were saying, say La ilaha illallah, Shaitan was showing me this watch, that favorite watch of mine, and was saying to me that if you say La ilaha illallah, I'll break that watch, I'll smash it. And me, because of that love I had to that watch, I said, don't break it, I won't say La ilaha illallah. So that is how Shaitan misleads, tempts, and drives us away at those last moments from the right path. For that, we have to be strong. How is that strength sought? That is by all these recitals, teachings that Ma'sumin have, and in addition, doubts which pop up into our minds, they must be cleared, and clear them through the right sources, not any source. That is one. The second is regarding these du'as that we have. So many du'as were recited, so many du'as we are asked to recite. What was done last night was just a fraction. Because the prescription that we have from Ma'sumin, it's 10 times more than that. This was just a trailer, we can say, an advert that we had last night. But many a times we find that after all those services, yet many of our du'as, they don't elevate, they are not accepted. Many of the beautiful tasks that we are assigned to perform, we don't do them. We have a hadith, for example, someone who wishes to perform the night prayers, namaz al-shab, and he doesn't get that opportunity to say them. Ma'soom says that the sins of the day of yours are a barrier for the night. That is, the wrong that we do during the day, they don't allow us to perform those night prayers. So sins of the day, barriers of the night. That is the night prayers. Again, du'as that we have, they don't elevate, there is something wrong. One of the basic wrongs that exists in us, in most homes, again, listen to myself first. That is, the wrong that exists, it's how we deal with the different family members. Parents are there, children are there, husband is there, wife is there, brothers are there, sisters are there. So these relationships that we have amongst ourselves, the wrong and the bad we do to them, it hinders, it becomes a barrier. It doesn't allow this dua to elevate. And many a times we are blinded as a result of this wrong that we do. I'll go to an incident, and that way we can understand the whole concept in simple words. If the husband, God forbid, is rude to the wife, because there are rights that he has to observe, well, the basic teaching is that what Amir al-Mu'mineen has defined says that outside the house, give the charge to the husband. Indoors, give it to the woman. So that way, you have a distinction, and then you have divided the jobs equally. But it doesn't mean that he shouldn't do anything inside and she shouldn't do anything outside. No. The more he does and he helps out indoors, the more he will be rewarded. Because basically it's his task to wash, to cook, to clean everything. And if she does something, it's a favor which is being done and which is being provided. So this is the basic teaching that we have. And again, the same thing when it comes to the respect that she has to observe, the atmosphere which she has to observe, in the household, when it comes to dealing with the children, when it comes to dealing with the husband, with the relatives, with the in-laws, etc. A good person, living in Tehran, good person meaning a mu'min, practicing mu'min, living in Tehran in one of these offices, was working there for many, many years. Boss tells him to get that folder, that file, because he was working in that filing section. He says, okay, and he was the only person who was maintaining that filing section for years. Whenever something was wanted, he provided that immediately. Now the file which he wanted, the boss, is one of those confidential files which needed to be provided instantly. He comes and doesn't find that file. And he is just confused that no one comes to this office of mine. It's me, myself. I've been taking care of everything over here for so many years and nothing went wrong. How come I can't find this most important file? And then the boss says, "Did you get it for me?" He says, "I'll get it, I can't find it." He says, "I want it by this afternoon." He couldn't get it. He says, "By tomorrow." And then if you don't get it, the consequences are going to be very severe. "I want it after the weekend." He says that consequences are going to be severe because I've lost it. I can't find it. Now, mu'mineen, when they get stuck, they come to Allah. Now, he also comes straight to a mosque, has a tawassul, asks Allah to help him find a way out. What has happened? Where did it go missing? He comes out of the mosque and someone hits him. Says that the answer to your problem is with Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat. Go and meet him. He says, I was just amazed once again that I did not know who this person was. Why did he hit me? And how did he know I have a problem? And he's asked me to approach that Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat living in Tehran. I don't know who that Sheikh is. But because I was so desperate, I found the address of that Sheikh. I went to meet him and I saw so many people sitting in his majlis. And when it was my turn, he addresses me with my name. This is my first meeting with him. He never saw me, I never saw him. He addresses me and says that the problem to your question is as such. Your brother-in-law, your sister's husband, has died 3 years, it's now, and you've broken ties with your sister. Says, how can you be tagged and named as a brother? That how she's been coping and living in this big city, Tehran, all these years, and you haven't visited her. He says, you catch up with your sister, what you've lost will be found. Says, immediately I come home, I come straight to my sister's house. There, because it's my first meeting after three years, there's a lot of pleading, crying. And there she's got 3 orphans with whom she's been taking care of for the past 3 years, all alone. Now they forgive each other, and he says that I'll be visiting you frequently, leaves some money with her, does some groceries and shopping. And now it's his first day in the office, Saturday morning. When he comes in his office, opens the drawer, the first file on top is this file that he had lost. Many a time this happens, and we have seen it. Now why does it happen? We get blinded. Things are just before us, we don't see them. Things are being said by our ear, we don't hear them. The reason for that is the wrong that we have in our day-to-day life, as a result of which Allah blinds us, Allah deafens us, Allah does not allow us to see what is around us. So we have to see what is wrong in the system around us. And that is why in all these riwayat that were quoted, when that person was pleading and crying, and wahy is revealed to Prophet Musa, saying that no matter how much he yells, how much he cries, no matter how much he tears his shirt, calls me, I will never listen to him. If he fixes his tongue, if he fixes his heart and says, Ya Allah, just once, more than what he wants will be given to him. That is how Allah works. So when it comes to family affairs, dealing with husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, and it is tough, especially in these days that we are living in with all this pollution that we have from the internet. And one of the other reasons is that because of this isolation that we find over here, which is so much. As a result of that isolation, we find all these problems also, they are huge. They are a lot more severe than what they are in other places. The topic I had in mind for tonight was the importance of places of worship. And inshallah, we pray in the sacred month that a place be granted to us here, which is dignified, which is respectful, wherein this remembrance of Allah Jalla wa'ala can be observed to the highest quality and to the best of our abilities, inshaAllah. There is a hadith over here, says that there is no day that there is an angel who calls upon the dwellers of the graves and says that, what do you all think of the most? Now those who have died, and from their graves they reply to that angel. They say that we think a lot about those people who frequent and go a lot to the mosques to say their prayers. We think a lot about those people who fast, and we have been deprived of those prayers and of those fasts. Not just anyone who prays at home or who fasts. It's those people who frequent, who go to the mosques and say their amal and practice in the mosque. Islam gives a lot of emphasis to social affairs, to affairs that are related to community, how we should be living in the society. And that is how we find all these ahkam that we have, these ethics, these akhlaqiyat that we have, because Islam abandons a person and isolation. Says isolation is not allowed. You cannot live on your own. And that is why again we find all this emphasis that a person must never be a single. He should get married at a very young age and as soon as he can. What is seen now, a guy should be 30, the girl should have passed 25 and only then we can get married. All this is wrong. Yeah. All this is wrong. The sooner the better. That is the teaching, and we pray in these nights and days of this holy month that the youngsters that we have, they get married as soon as it is possible, inshaAllah. And the right matches and spouses are granted to them, the best of spouses, the best of matches, inshaAllah. So, being alone is not allowed. It's mamnu in Islam. And that is why Rasulullah in that hadith, which is a lengthy hadith, and which is recited, just one phrase of it, it is recited when that khutbah of aqd, of nikah is conducted. We say that an-nikah sunnati. Nikah, then marrying, wedding. It is the way of life of Rasulullah. Says someone who doesn't act in accordance to this way of life of Rasulullah, فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. He is not from me. He is not from my nation. So much of emphasis over there. Now why do we emphasize on this issue so much? Because Allah wants this human being to blossom, to grow. He grows only when he gets married. That is, when he gets married, he starts blossoming. He's not one person anymore. When he gets married, he is not an individual of his own. He is a public figure from a public property, you can say. So with that wedlock, he starts blossoming. How he should be dealing with his wife, not just wife, then all these in-laws are there, his brother-in-law, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law. And when it comes to how she should be dealing with your parents, with your brothers, your sisters, so it's a whole bunch of things that are happening all together, and that way a man or a girl, he starts blossoming. That is how that patience has to be regulated, how that aql has to be regulated, how that love has to be portrayed, etc., etc. So that is what the teaching is, that you are not allowed to stay alone, you have to live a life in the society, in the community, and mosques, they play a pivotal role in this. Prayers that we offer, we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. The teaching that we have for prayers says, first and foremost priority in prayers is that they should be performed in jama'at, as much as it is possible. In a mosque, first, if not in Jama'at. That is what you have to observe when it comes to prayers. When we say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, that is Allah, it is only you that we worship, and it is only from you that we ask and seek assistance. So that is when we have stood in a congregation, in a Jama'at, when it is more than one. What if you are saying your prayers all alone? So why do you say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ when you are just one? When you are one person, you should say إِيَّاكَ أَعْبُدُ. That is, Allah, I worship you, and Allah, I seek assistance from you. So even if you are saying your prayers on your own, as furada, as one person, the angels that are with you, you are saying your prayers with those angels, and that is why we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. That is me. Me and these angels that are with me are saying these prayers. So there is this constant watch out, and Allah doesn't leave anyone stranded alone at any time. So that is, isolation in Islam is not allowed. You have to live as a community, as a society, and with all other mu'mineen. When it comes to places of worship, like a mosque, says Allah, the Prophet says that Allah has said, أَلَا إِنَّ بُيُوتِي فِي الْأَرْضِ الْمَسَاجِدِ. Allah says, my home on this land is the mosque. Mosques are my homes. Then says that as the stars that you have in the skies, they enlighten the dwellers of this earth, says these places of worship enlighten the dwellers of the skies, that is mosques, they enlighten. So it's a to and fro communication and enlightenment, connection of the skies to the earth, of the earth to the skies, and if you want to get connected with them, to get enlightened from the skies, we have to go to these places of worship. And then he says, أَلَا إِنَّ عَلَى الْمَزُورِ كِرَامَةُ الزَّائِرِ أَلَا طُوبَى لِعَبْدٍ تَوَضَّأَ فِي بَيْتِهِ ثُمَّ زَارَنِي فِي بَيْتِهِ. That is, lucky is that person who performs his wuzu at home and comes and visits me in the mosque. So if someone wants to visit Allah, he says, come to the mosque. Do your wuzu at home, come to the mosque and visit me, and that person is lucky. And then says, someone who has come to visit someone, it is binding on the host to respect him and to welcome him. And says, it is upon me that I will respect him, I will honor him, and I will protect him in the hereafter, on the day of judgment. And that is as a result of his association with these places of worship and these mosques that you frequent in. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us in these nights of worship, in these nights of du'as, the wrong that we have be forgiven, the pollution that we have in our system, may that be removed, the system failures that we have in our system, all of that be corrected, and we be restored to our original settings that Allah had made us, and that is that nature, that fitra, and we be restored onto that system, inshallah. To hasten the return of our Imam, for us to be enlisted among his true servants, among his true supporters, for all those who have helped, and truly and sincerely, the volunteers, it's not an easy task. The vacation, it's not our permanent vacation. It's a temporary vacation, winding everything, opening everything every day, and having a wonderful program and gathering, and so many mu'mineen, mashallah, attending. It's a great, big blessing, and it is as if there is a support that is from the unseen, which we have Yadullahi ma'an jama'ah, that Allah's support is with the congregation. And because this congregation is Nurani, that support is, alhamdulillah, is seen, is felt, and that support be never ever taken away from us. May Allah help us in establishing better and better programs over here. For all those who have supported, helped, in whatever way, in whatever manner, may Allah accept from each one the Qabul and Hasan, and to all of them 3 loud salawats. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
request
when that person was being punished, and Hazrat Zahra salamullahi alayha wants to mediate. In reply, Amir al-Mu'mineen says that someone who dies not performing a Hajj, Mata Yahudiyan or Nasraniyan, has died at death as a Jew or a Christian. So the question is, so what's so bad in it? If a person dies as a Jew or a Christian, after all they too are Ahlul Kitab, so there's nothing so bad in it. After all, it's a teaching. It's the message of Allah, and again the religion, one of the divine religions. We believe, and again if you recall your memories throughout these days, and we talked about Mu'mineen, Muttaqeen, we talked about Iman, faith, belief. The fundamentals that we have in the Aqa'id are belief in the oneness of God, belief in the concept of prophethood, and belief in the day of judgment. Someone who believes in the oneness of God, he believes God is one, at the same time he is just, he is Adil. And he has sent the prophets right from Prophet Adam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad wa ala ahli baytihi al-atyabin al-anjalin wa natawalla ومن آبائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن وليك بجد الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكنه أرضا الرضاء وتمتعه فيها طويلا. There are some questions, and I think if I take the time to answer the topic for today will be a bit changed. Anyway, the first question, yesterday when we talked about Hajj and that incident that was quoted from Marhum Ayatollah Usman, there in the end of it, when we came to this point, it can be made up. If it wasn't able for us to make it up, or the descendants to complete it, by seeing the adab in the barzakh or pains of death or being punished in the hellfire, he will be forgiven. That is, after seeing that punishment and chastisement, and then he will be sent back to the heaven. This is our aqidah. So, what if a person ends up as a Jew or Christian? It's straight to hell is the answer. Now, if you look into these du'as that we have been reciting throughout the sacred month, and in particular, du'as which start from the night of the 21st. So today we just recited a small du'a which was for the night of the 24th, and we find this phrase continue every night. The same thing is in this du'a Abu Hamza. There, what is that phrase? It says, وَأَن تَجْعَلَ إِسْمِي فِي هَذِهِ اللَّيْلَةِ فِي السُّعَدَاءِ, that Allah, you enlist me among those who are su'ada. Su'ada is the plural of sa'id. Sa'id means prosperous. Someone who is successful, who has got the aqa'id complete, and as a result of those complete aqa'id, faith and fundamentals, he will be listed in these. To the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And Rasulullah is the seal of the prophets, is the final messenger. So those who do not believe in Rasulullah are not faithful, are not the believers. So that because they do not accept that whole package of guidance. With reference to the Jews and the Christians, those Jews and those Christians who were the immediate followers of Prophet Isa, Christians were the followers of Prophet Isa, during the time of Prophet Isa, yes, they will find salvation, they will be prosperous, they will be successful. The same thing is with the followers of Prophet Musa. But when the chain of prophecy continues and comes to Rasulullah, then automatically all the religions before them, they expire. So followers of them or those religions, they have to move on to Rasulullah. And if they don't, it's an incomplete faith. And again, the belief in the Day of Judgment, punishment and reward is among those aqa'id that we have. And someone who dies, as Amir al-Mu'mineen says, not performing a hajj, has died a death of a Jew or a Christian, it means death of ignorance. As it was mentioned, مَنْ مَاتَ وَلَمْ يَعْرِفْ إِمَامَ زَمَانِهِ مَاتَ مِيتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً. Someone who dies not knowing the Imam of his time has died a death of ignorance. Death of ignorance means straight to hell. Means punishment without any correction. For the other wrong that we do, for example, shortfall in salah, in fast, in hajj, in zakah, if there is a shortfall, that shortfall will be corrected, can be made up. If someone has prayers outstanding, if his son performs those prayers, his a'mal will be corrected, that shortfall has been made up, and he won't be punished for that. He will be punished because he took the commands of Allah easy, but because that shortfall has been made up by his descendants, by his children, then he will not be punished anymore for that. The same thing in this case that was mentioned yesterday. There was a shortfall of Hajj, which was made up by the Imam of time, as a result of which that person, his status upgrades and he ends up in the heaven, not being punished, although he had seen his punishments for the wrong which he had done. So the shortfall in furu'at deen, it can be covered, it can